Good morning. I wanted to make a tutorial on how to use the form that I've emailed out recently um, to teams of teachers for students who I need to complete a functional behavioral assessment. The functional behavioral assessment is pretty important. It's a way that we develop a positive behavior support plan that is now listed in IEPs and required under the Individuals with Disability Education Act. So I wanted to kind of explain the form because I know at first glance it can look like, whoa, how do I do this? But I promise it's pretty simple. It's really easy, and I will walk you through it, and you will be able to fill this out without any problem. And of course, you can always ask questions. Don't hesitate to ask questions. I'm here to help always. So this form is called a PTR, which stands for Prevent, Teach, Reinforce Functional Behavioral Assessment Interview. It replaces the old-fashioned FACS form, which you needed to complete one FACS form, which was a couple pages in length for each individual behavior. This has allowed us to make this more efficient for the teachers and for us as behavior analysts as possible by allowing us to list the behaviors on one page and go through the information for each behavior using this one page. So let's just kind of get right into it. So the first thing you're going to do, and you can either type right into the document, because I usually send it into a Word format or a Google format, or you can print it, fill it out, and scan and email it, or screenshot and text it to me, whatever is the easiest for you. Because I can always take the screenshot if you were to email it to me, and I can turn it into a PDF. So the first thing you want to do, of course, is put the student's name here, and I've already typed in Jennifer Gormley because she can have some behaviors I'm sure her family would like to replace. And I typed in the date, which is today's date, the 16th, and who it was completed by. And I'm going to put my husband down because I'm sure there's some behaviors of mine he'd like to change. So the first part is right here where it says target behaviors, title of behavior, and then define what it looks like. Okay, so I went ahead and put one in already. And it says, I named it or gave it a title as non-compliance. And then I defined it as shutdown when given a directive to begin task, taking out materials, turning homework in, completing a worksheet, etc. Jennifer will sometimes put her head down on the desk and pretend she doesn't hear, it should be here, hear the directions and or repeated prompts to do the task. She may also sit in her desk with her head up and cross her arms and proceed not to engage in the necessary steps to complete the task. Okay, so there we have our very first behavior listed. Again, when you're doing these behaviors, the best way to do them is basically pretend that I am standing in front of you and you need to tell me how to act out this behavior. Tell me what to do and how it looks. So let's do a second behavior together. Let's do disrespect. Okay, we're going to do our first behavior as disrespect. Here we go. Okay. And let's say Jennifer, whoops, it's not typing. Oh, that's why. Sorry. Jennifer will talk mean to staff when she doesn't like something or is asked to do something she doesn't want to do. She will tell, oops, she will yell at staff to shut up and sometimes will even use bad words such as tell a teacher to. You can write the word out or just abbreviate it. That's fine. Um, it's not a big deal. I get the gist. So, and that's all you need to do right there. Okay. So again, just you can keep it. You know, if you look at my first uh, behavior, non-compliance, I kind of went into some great detail. It does not have to be as detailed. And again, you can just you can keep it as brief and to the point as you want because I can figure it out, and I'll pretty much be able to figure out just by observations as well. Okay. And also, I typically, especially for older children, usually I will do this for kindergartners, but mostly I do it for maybe age for grade third and up. I will do an assessment with the student, which can give me kind of a good insight into their mannerisms. So if you list disrespectful, I'll be able to pick up on some stuff that I can even add to this. Okay. So let's say for this student, they only have two behaviors that you think of. No problem, not a problem. Let's say that you see them more, and you can list six behaviors. That's fine. List whatever you want to list. You can add things to the back. I will be able to condense. I will be able to put it in more of those behavior analytic terms. All I need from you is just the information, and this is the most important part. Okay. So if you look at the rest of this page where it says here, this little box are 1A, which is here, are there times of the school day when the problem behavior is most likely to occur? If yes, what are they? Meaning, like, for example, let's say that you had three behaviors listed here. Okay, so if we go back up here, we see that we have our first behavior, number one, noncompliance, two, disrespect, and let's say there was a three behavior, we'll just say off task. Okay. Okay, so let's say you have a third behavior, and that's off task. So you have three behaviors. So you're going to take those three behaviors, one, two, and three, and you would come down here to 1A. And if you're able to, if you see them, say, for all day, or you say that you see them most of the day, or you have information that you can answer these following questions, you would then say, so for example, if you see them after lunch, okay, and typically you see number three off task more after lunch, because let's say you have them for class in the morning for maybe homeroom, but then you also see them after lunch for another class. So you can say, well, they're not really off task in homeroom, but yeah, after lunch they are. So you would just put number three here. Let's say they are also non-compliant after lunch more. You can also put one. This part here is for those teachers who are able to answer these questions because they see the students for a greater period of time and are able to give that knowledge. So basically, you just read the questions. Are there times of the school day where the problem behavior is most likely to occur? If yes, when are they? And you would just put the corresponding number on the line. And then come down to 1B, are the times of the day when the problem behavior is least likely to occur? So it means it probably won't happen in the morning. You would put, say 3 and 1 here. Again, if you're able to. If you're not able to, if you don't have that much information on them, no problem. Don't worry about it. Skip that part. 2A, so are there specific activities when problem behavior is very likely to occur? If yes, what are they? So just take a look at these, and if they apply to anything you've seen, You can put down the specific number corresponding to the behaviors that you see, the behaviors occur, such as, let's say, small group work. We see non-compliance definitely in small group work. We see it more on hands-on activities. You could put one there, okay? Or if you think, you know what, you see most of the behaviors, then you can just put an X on that line. And that'll tell me, hey, she sees or he sees a lot of these behaviors during small group activities, hands-on activities, independent time, and that's fine. So you don't have to put numbers down. X's are fine too. Down here to B, times when they're very unlikely to occur, if you're able to answer this. Let's say you don't see it in your class when they're working on the computer, put an X there. Not a big deal, okay? Are there specific 3A, are there specific classmates or adults whose proximity is associated with the higher likelihood of the problem behavior to occur? You can put a mark there. You can put an X, or you can put the corresponding number, whatever you feel more comfortable with. If there really isn't anything you can add to this, so let's just say, you don't know if it's really something you see with close proximity, then you can just leave it blank. Not a problem. If this student has a paraprofessional or a certain peer that you will see them engage in, maybe, let's say, disrespect towards, then maybe you would put the number 2 there, okay? But again, typically the teachers who will see these students for longer periods of time are going to be able to answer more of these questions, okay? So if you want to answer this one, same way, specific classmates or adults whose proximity is associated with a high likelihood of the problem behavior not being exhibited. So let's say, they really don't do it to me, but yeah, we do see it with peers, we do see it with the paraprofessionals. Just, you would write your name down, or the specific teacher, or parent or bus driver. So this, let me just change that. Very likely. Are there specific circumstances in which the problem behavior is very likely to occur? Just put X's down here, request to start a task. Yeah, definitely. Told no. Yeah. Just mark the ones, okay? And then specific circumstances in which the behavior is very unlikely to occur. If there's a time where or you definitely can say it does not occur during this time, put an X there. Otherwise, I'm going to be able to tell just by what you answered previously the times that it doesn't occur, okay? But if there's something you want me to really know, if, hey, this is a really good time and this doesn't happen during this time, let me know, okay? 6, are there conditions in the physical environment that are associated with high likelihood of problem behavior? For example, too warm, too cold, too crowded, too much noise, etc. If you mark yes, then down here, if you mark yes, list them. When it's the weather's turning cold, they get allergies, or if there's a lot of noise in the classroom, it's more in structure time. List whatever you can here, or just mark no, or leave it blank if you don't know. Are there circumstances unrelated to the school setting that occur on some days and not other days that may make problem behaviors more likely? This is important because this is what we call setting events. So setting events are things that happen that kind of lay the groundwork, or lay that internal switch to that antecedent that sometimes will trigger a behavior, or sometimes they can just get through that antecedent no problem. If they had that setting event, if it's been laid down there, if it's happened, there's higher probability that that child will engage in that inappropriate behavior. So let's say, for example, let's say that there's some home variables that go on. So maybe parents share custody, and custody isn't, or and time sharing with parents isn't as scheduled. So say with one parent, there's more structured routine, and say with the other parent there isn't. And when he's with that other parent and they come in that, the following day, we tend to see more behaviors. That's something important to know, okay? Or even a conflict with a boyfriend or a girlfriend. We'll see this a lot of times in middle school and high school. Hunger is another one. So if you see these, if you know these, because you know the student really well, especially our special ed teachers who work closely with these students, just put an X and any, okay? And if there's any other additional information, like a recent surgery or something, list it. Everything is great information, okay? And then the final part is, you know, just basically letting me know what you think the function of the behaviors are. And there are no right or wrong answers because honestly, most of the time, you're going to know the reasons. You're going to be able to tell. And if it's to gain attention or to obtain objects, you're going to be able to have a good idea. And your suspicion will only help me, I guess, understand the student even better. And sometimes our suspicion is actually incorrect, and that's okay. That's fine. Sometimes those behaviors, there's some tricky ones that, say sensory is involved and we didn't know that, or say there's some history of some traumatic, there's some trauma that's happened that maybe we didn't know about that has impacted the behavior. But there are no right or wrong answers. It's just helpful information. So you can go through here and tell me if you think it's in order to gain attention from peers. If it is yes, mark it. And you can list specific peers. If no, just put X. And just kind of go through here and read. And just, if it's yes, try to list what you can. If it's no, just leave it alone. Okay. Down here is what social skills could the student learn in order to reduce the likelihood of problem behaviors. Any of these you think that may help the students, please list, please mark. Also, if there's anything else you want to add, please list and help, okay? Here's problem solving skills, definitely mark them and definitely add anything you want to. Communication skills, mark them, add any additional information if you'd like to. And then as far as the consequence section down here or responses from others, I just kind of want an idea of what happens following the behavior. So if they become disrespectful, verbally disrespectful, let's say they're, number two, they're disrespect and they, tell you, to F off or something, the activity, the activity is terminated, and then they're sent to the office. So just those two things would be great to know because that tells me, how that behavior being reinforced. Believe it or not, even though it may look like it's not being reinforced, but if their behavior is to escape an aversive situation, task, or to gain attention from particular staff, inadvertently we may be reinforcing them by sending them to the office because they really love to see Principal Jen Dilks or Assistant Principal Michael Boudreau. So they go to the office and that's reinforcing it. Or they want to get out of this activity and we terminate it and it's been reinforced, even though I understand sometimes we have no other option. So then it's up to me to figure out what other options we can come up with. Okay. And then down here, let's see, this part, what is the likelihood of students' problem behavior resulting in acknowledgement, reprimands, corrections from teachers or other school staff? So just let me know, like, if they tend to be corrected often, you know, just so I can have an idea, give me an idea. Are they looking, if it's happening frequently, are they doing these behaviors to seek that adult attention? Same thing with number three. What is the likelihood of the student's appropriate behavior on task, etc., resulting in acknowledgement or praise of teachers and other school staff? Just list it honestly. It's okay. You have a classroom full of students, so you can even say, as often as possible, which I know you do. But I know sometimes it's hard when you have a classroom full of 20 some students and you can't always have your eyes on that student, but then that's my job to figure out how I can find a way for that student to be either, reinforced themselves through self-monitoring or figuring out if they need assistance. This is just all, again, helpful information. And then if you know of any enjoyable activities for this student, just put an X by it. If you don't, not a big deal. Leave it blank. It is not a problem. Okay. And that's pretty much it. And I just want to close out by saying, if you really feel like, from this point on, after the behavior part, and we get down to the prevent component down here, if you're not able to answer any of these questions from here on below, do not worry. Or if you're only able to say answer maybe like what's enjoyable to the student, or maybe you're only able to answer these areas of what social skills they could use or problem solving skills, that's fine. The most important part that I need filled out is this part right here. The target behaviors right here. Title the behavior and define what it looks like. That is the most important component of this form that I need done. The rest, do not worry about it. I can get that another way. So if you get this form from me, please know that number one, fill it out to the best of your ability and really just focus on right here, this target behavior section. And if you can answer the rest, great. If you can't, just put that on there, a note just saying, not able to answer or not enough information or NA or not applicable. No problem. If you answer a few, no problem. Again, I just want to stress that this part right here is the most important part I need filled out. And when I send them to you, if you're able to fill out that part and get it emailed back to me as soon as possible, that's greatly appreciated, because once I have this, I can then create the data that I need to take. I will also send out eventually another video on how to do a guided ABC form, which is something I typically will have teachers collect for just a few days, just enough for me to gather some patterns. And again, I will send out a how-to video because it is very simple, very easy to use. And that would be the only type of data that I would ask teachers and staff to typically take for maybe 5 days max. And the rest of the data, any form of data, is done by me. Any other assessments is done by me. Interviewing of parents, etc., is done by me. So again, this paper right here is the most important first step of an FBA. And I want to remind everyone that, like evaluations, FBA, I also have that 60-day timeline. And sometimes I can have anywhere from, 4 FBAs to 10 FBAs. I've even had upwards of, believe it or not, when I worked in other districts, of, close to 20 FBAs due, roughly around the same time, particularly in the middle of the year, after that winter break, I tend to see an influx of FBAs. So the sooner you can get these to me, the sooner I can get data started and observations started and get that FBA going and get that support plan in place to support that student, and also to, most importantly as well, support you, the teacher who has that student, probably as well as 20 some other students that you need to also work with. I appreciate very much your time today, and if you have any questions, please let me know. I am more than happy to review anything that we have gone over. Okay? Have a great day.